Okay. Well, Jeraud is an apprentice school graduate that worked on aircraft carriers and submarines for over 10 years at Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia. In May 2012, Jeraud and his 2-year-old son was hit by an 18-wheeler truck. This caused him to lose his job, his house in foreclosure, and accumulate mounds of debt while being a single father of two boys. Along the journey, he tried many things to take care of his family, and each venture that he tried led back to marketing. In 2017, he started Jeraud Marketing Group, where they turned strangers into customers using paid ads on social networks. They work with businesses in different industries across the world, including being hired to help the United States Air Force increase their recruitment efforts. Over the past 7 years, they generated over $100 million in revenue for their clients. Over to you, Gerard.
Thank you very much. Wow. After I always hear that, it's like, huh, I appreciate you guys having me here. I appreciate Michelle for reaching out. She's awesome. So anything that she's a part of, I'm always down to check out. But yeah, you guys heard a little bit about my story, and as you saw, my 2-year-old daughter here, my son who was in the accident with me, he's 14 now, and he's taller than me, and we run around back and forth doing basketball things, and everything about my life and business is set up to accommodate my kids. Even through all of those struggles that we had trying to figure things out and losing my house and all that stuff, no matter what, whatever my son was going through, I was always there, whether it was field trips, whether it was coaching sports. Sometimes that was even stressful because when you don't have enough money to pay for things, I mean, something I don't even usually tell people at one point because I was so injured, I couldn't go to work. Obviously, I lost my job, but we even had to get food stamps. I didn't want to be on food stamps, but I'm glad that the system was there, able for me to use that. I was just laid up and couldn't move around and do anything. And as soon as I was able to get off of that, which didn't take long, I was able to get away from that. But even when things were bad, I was still making it a priority to spend time with my kids because I know you don't get that time back. When I first started the business, I think my son was 2017 or well, plenty of businesses before the marketing company, but I think he was 4, and they have all day kindergarten. They got half day kindergarten. He was too smart for the all day kindergarten for whatever reason, so they said half day. And one, I didn't have the money, and then when I started making the money, I decided that I was going to spend half the day with him, even though I needed to be working on the business because I knew you don't get that time back. And I'm extremely glad that I've done that. We have a great relationship, and then as you saw, my daughter here, she's 2, going on 3, going on 30. Everything's set up around her. We do gymnastics every week, and my son, he does basketball. He plays on 3 teams, and I coach teams. So my whole life, like I said, you find a business and you create a business that will service whatever your goals are. And for me, number one goal has always been family. Michelle asked me to come here and talk about that. I was extremely grateful and just glad that people see that whatever it is that I'm doing is working, and that I can inspire other folks. So instead of kind of going on and on like the stories out there, you guys hear my story, but I'd rather do something where we have a little bit more interaction and based off of what you guys heard, what questions do you have? And you guys can tell me where you're at so I can, look to give you some advice based on my experience or connect you with someone who does have that advice if they're not already here. So does anybody want to go first? Ask questions?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start. First of all, let me say thank you so very much for being willing today to share with us your journey. And as a part of your journey, you shared about that the business, but also the business of your family, right? Did you ever really, prior to this happening with the accident, did anything shift for you relative to your relationship with your family before versus your relationship with your family after? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because our focus for this month is family as a part of our Clarity Mastermind. Now, even though we're saying we're focusing on our family for the month of February, we focus on our family every month. But as we know, whatever we give our intention to, we give our attention to, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just curious if anything shifted after the accident in terms of your commitment and focus to the family.
I would say that's a very good question, and it's like yes and no. Because before then, I was committed to the family, like the birth of my first son. So I have two kids, one 19. He's actually my son's older brother. I've been in his life since he was 2, so he became mine. And my son was born; he was 5. So before then, like dealing with him, that was great. That was awesome. It actually allowed me to be a better dad for my, my firstborn son. But I realized that we were in these constructs of time because we worked for someone else, and my parents had worked for somebody else, and they get up early in the morning, they ship us off somewhere, they go to work, they come pick us up, and it's almost time for bed. They feed us and we go to bed. They're stressed, they may not be making enough money, and it was just like a repetitive cycle until we got to the weekend. So I started noticing that because when I was at the shipyard, my I didn't want to put my son into daycare. I'm really weird about people watching my kids, and but I wasn't financially in a position where I had all these options. So the best option for me was I lived in Hampton. I would drive to Deep Creek every day, which is about a 45-minute drive. Drop my son off in the morning before I had to be to work at 6, and then I would do it again after work and go pick him up and bring him home, which kind of put him in that situation. But at least I knew he was with my mom. My mom was taking care of him. So like once all that stuff happened, I think the shift was more or less like keeping that same mindset, but how am I going to make sure that we have just the basic necessities? Um, and once those were covered, it was really just all right, making sure you're mindful. Because when you're, if you're not making enough money, you're in survival mode. And there's been times I was making a lot of money and I was still in survival mode because I didn't have clarity, which is crazy that she hit me up about the clarity mastermind. But if you don't have clarity on what you're doing, you can still be in survival mode no matter how much money you make. So being in survival mode just put me in a situation where I was mindful and with my kids, but I still felt like I was losing so much. So the more clarity I got, the more I felt like I was actually there for everything. Because, she goes to school throughout the day, he went to school, and I know I'm not going to catch everything, but it's weird when your kids are doing stuff and you're like, how did I miss that? um, Especially if someone else is telling you like, "Hey, your kids are doing this." So for me, it was just the shift was for me is how do I continue to be mindful no matter what the struggles I'm going through are. And I came up with this acronym called GAVE, and I used to wear shirts all the time with it, but it stands for gratitude, appreciation, visualization every day, and that was my process in the morning. If I can control how I start my morning and how I end my day, the rest of the day should flow pretty good. And that's what I did every day. Started the day off with gratitude, visualize where I want to be, and that helped me out a ton through some of the toughest times. And then having great support systems like my mother and my wife. My wife met me when I lost my job and was losing everything, stayed by my side and helped me. And I'm just so extremely blessed and grateful to have her in my life. Like that's the best deal I've ever made in my life. That woman over there. So you can see her up here. It's my family wall. So, but yeah, does that answer your question, or did I go off? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, yeah, I'm good. I just want to make sure that we all realize that we don't need to wait for a catastrophic event of life to happen before we make our family a priority. Because it really, at the end of the day, we'd often like to say, if I made more money, if I had this, if I had a better car, if I had a better house, if I could do a better school. But at the end of the day, when you really stop and think about it, it's the time commitment. And I love what you said about gratitude, visualization, and what was the other one?
Gratitude, appreciation, visualization every day.
Okay, gratitude, appreciation, visualization, and every day. Excellent,
Yeah, so we used to
excellent.
run around and say "Gabe."
GIVE or GAVE?
GAV, yeah, Gabe. So I still
Oh,
have shirts with it. I just don't wear it every day like I used to. Yeah, that's still the process. Because when you start listening to all these motivational speakers, that was something that was really great. I wasn't even exposed to motivational talks on YouTube until I got in a car accident, lost my job, and I the first stop was to try to figure out how I would make money and not even have to go back to work. So I was hurt but excited about the whole thing, even though it was challenging. And I went to a real estate conference and it exposed me to these motivational videos. I was like, wow, no one ever showed me this. And then when I started looking into different guys like Tony Robbins and all the people like that, they all kind of said the same thing in their own way. You have to have gratitude, you have to appreciate things and visualize what you want. And I kind of just put it together. And one day I was writing GAV, and I was like, man, if I just throw an E on it, actual word, and it was, the rest was kind of history. That was probably 10 years ago. I came up with that.
But do you believe or think that it could possibly have been a blessing in disguise, the accident, for you to then have a shift in your thinking?
Oh, 100%. I wholeheartedly feel that if that wouldn't have happened, I could possibly still be there because I actually shifted from the shipyard I was at to another one where it was government ran. And if any of you all work for the government, you know how much of a circus it could be. And one day I walked outside after being tested by my supervisors, and I looked in the sky and I was like, I can't do this forever. And I don't know how much time after that car accident happened, but that happened, and I'm always up for the challenge. I feel like when bad things happen, you can either accept them and stay negative, you can look at it as a blessing in disguise, or you don't make it. I made it. I'm getting hit by that truck, so it was either be negative or not. Doesn't mean there wasn't hard times. Usually, my wife has to remind me of those because, like, I kind of just they're oblivious to me. I kind of forgot. But I think it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. One of the best things, aside of course, marrying her and having children. But yeah, without that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't be in control of my own destiny. I wouldn't be able to even do a call like this now. And I told Michelle too, I was like, yeah, as long as if my daughter's in the background, it's good. That's fine because this is our time now. But if we're talking about family, I want her to be present and be able to take this in and see what I'm doing. And that means a lot to me too, is just to share what I'm doing with my kids and allow them to create their own path. I don't care if they want to do what I want to do. I just want to obviously make enough money so that they don't have to worry about money and they can follow their passion because that's not what I was taught growing up. My parents did their best, but that's not what they told.
Can you walk us through what is it in your business that you do in terms of the clients that you support, and how do you envision, if you envision your family being a part of that at some point in the future?
Yes, for sure. So if you ever go on Facebook and Instagram and you see something that says sponsored, that's how I learned that skill set of doing that for people. So people tell me what their business is, and essentially I take my skill set with their business and eventually help them print money. Um, some people print money faster than others. Some people never print, and I would say usually that's because I didn't pick the right people. But out of all the clients we worked with over the years, I'd say 95% of helping our clients. And if for whatever reason we make it, I feel like we just ran out of time or it really just was the wrong person. So we get really selective about who we work with in that regard. Over the past 2 years, we've slowed down on running ads. We still have some big clients like Salvation Army we do ads for, but we focus on automation and AI follow up because the one thing I've realized working with all these businesses is they get all of these leads and they don't follow up with them. So what I focus on now is making sure they have automation in place, AI in place, and even if I need to do sales training in place to make sure that they're capitalizing on the money they're spending. Because it kind of makes me sick to see people spend thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars a month, have all these opportunities, and they don't do anything with them. And eventually they're going to start looking at me, but that's not my job to close all that. It's my job to bring it to you. And it's not, some people say, hey, I got you this many views, this many clicks. I'm not saying that. I said, hey, I got you this many people that gave you all this information, said they wanted this thing. What did you do with it? And if they don't do anything with it, then a lot of times I'll walk away from them before they walk away from me because I just don't want to be tied. Marketing gets a bad rap, and with like one of my core values is integrity and honesty. And I knew that if I had to do this for other people, I wanted to have a way where I could track my results so I know that. And that's why I chose the path and chose my mentors that I chose. So that answers the first question. And
Yes.
as far as the as far as the family goes, I kind of want them to all do their own thing. Um, my wife is considering working with me in this business, and we're figuring out that. But even then, it's like she has her own dreams and aspirations, and I would rather support her doing her thing and then help her with my skill set versus making her do something. And not saying she doesn't need to do it, but instead of putting her in a box doing what I'm doing. Same thing for my son who wants to be a real estate investor slash agent who's 14. So I can help him with my skill set, make sure that he's getting deals. Because you can have a business, but if no one knows who you are, referrals are great, still the best form of marketing. But 9 times out of 10, everybody's thinking about their own business, and if something comes up to refer you. I don't like to live on that limb. I like to make sure I have people coming to me on the people I work with have people coming to me. So that's kind of how we do our thing. With my daughter, she's too young to know, but I think she said she wants to be the next Simone Biles. See about that.
But I got a feeling that as long as she, excuse me, as long as she stays around you, she might want to end up supporting her dad in whatever way she can. And by doing that, possibly may end up learning how to uh how to do marketing. But I do want to open it up for our guests and also for our members that may have a question. If
Yeah, don't be shy. I like this.
you have a
I don't like to
question,
do
if you
all the
can
talking.
no problem, no problem, no problem, Jeraud, Mr. Norman. So let's go ahead and we want to thank Imelda's joined us and let's see others. So anybody else that may have a question for Jeraud before I ask my next
How did you begin
question.
rebuilding after your accident? Like, what steps did you take to put yourself on the path to be where you are today?
That's a great question. Um, After the accident, I stayed on at work for probably 6 months. Uh, but during that time, I had a hip issue and it got worse and I couldn't keep going. But in between that time before I left, I started listening to audiobooks. Excuse me. Um, at the time, friends of mine, it was a small group of us, started getting into the whole, it wasn't Think and Grow Rich yet. The fact that she brought that up is cool. But it was like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, things like that, and listening to different books and not even knowing this information was available. Man, really important to be in the right circles so you can have access to the information. A lot of it is free. So just changing my mindset was the first thing. And then when my leg got so bad that I couldn't go to work anymore, I had already built up the confidence to know that I could figure this out. And when you listen to personal development books and stuff like Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, you start taking inventory of yourself, and that's one of the steps in the book. Like I've read that book probably 10 times. I've listened to it on audio at least 100 times. When my son was 2, I used to make him listen to it overnight, every night. You take an inventory of yourself, and you start to realize you're either you learned something that you didn't know. You didn't, I guess it's unconscious where you weren't even aware that you didn't know the thing, or you realize that you're further ahead than where you are, or you realize that you're behind where you want to be, and then at that point you decide where you're going to go. And that's pretty much what I've done. Is just work on my mindset, and then on top of that, having the physical issues, consistently working on my body as far as working out, and physical therapy. Um, I picked up martial arts, and I realized that the more I stay physically active, the better it is for me as a person, period. Never mind like my thought process and clarity in my business, being mindful of my family, and having patience with me to be able to juggle all those things, especially when you're in a bad situation. Does that
I'm
answer your question?
thank you very much, Mr. Norman. My name is Marianne Williams, and I'm just curious, not coming out of a marketing background, what motivated you to go do that, and without giving away your trade secret, how did you get leverage yourself into the social network marketing, producing the ads and stuff?
That's an awesome question too. And yeah, for me, I'll give away the trade secrets. They say you give your best stuff away for free. I'm trying to hold some stuff to sell, but I'm not selling in this call. But what happened was when I first got in the accident and I lost the job. So picking up on the last question that was asked, one of the first ads I heard was on the radio for like those guys like when Robert Kiyosaki and those guys come to town. So I think it was the guys from A&E flipped his house, and I was like, huh, maybe I can get into real estate investing and figure this out and may not have to go to work. Went to a weekend long event. They asked me for $25,000. They didn't have it. I didn't have financial, the best financial sense back then. I mean, my mom made me buy my house when I was 20, and I'm grateful for that. But I wasn't scared of the fact that someone asked me for 25 grand. But what I learned there was those motivational videos. And then what real estate investing teaches you is if you don't do marketing, you don't get deals. A lot of times people go into real estate and they're real estate agents and they don't do any marketing, but the stuff they were showing on the screen, it was part of their sales process. Was like, hey, if you pay us 25,000, it's up to your followers. But if you don't do this, you won't be successful. So that was my first introduction to marketing. Didn't have the money. Started going to the local networking meetings, and a guy who had the money, who was there, he saw me and said, hey, I see you showing up everywhere. How about you work with me? I had the 25 grand and I bought the program. He said, you'll be my marketing guy. And I was like, what makes you think I do marketing? Chef here work was trying to figure this stuff out. And so I learned some marketing there. That didn't work out. I went into network marketing, which is, people call it pyramid scheme, but it's not really a pyramid scheme. But some guys came into the business, and I was known around the world as one of the hardest workers. And then these guys came in the business and blew it up overnight. And I was like, how? And they was like, oh, we don't talk to everyone we see and hound them. We run ads or we send emails and we do this. And I was like, well, teach me because I'm an introvert. I really don't want to talk to everyone, but kind of got to. So they started teaching me that. I decided not to do that business anymore. And at that point, I decided that I was, I think I was, I had enough because there was a lot of politics in that. And on the way down the street one day, I was looking at all these businesses, and I was like, if I take those skill sets that those guys taught me, and I can help people get customers, I would never be out of business. So if you know how to market and sell, you always make money. And then that's when I decided I was going to build skill set. And then, long story short, I saw another ad on Facebook, and a black guy looked like me talking all this trash, and it was good stuff. And I was like, that's exactly what I want. I had a vision of that's what I wanted my business to look like. So I was like, how much money does he want? Didn't have the money, and he wanted, I think, 2,500 to join his program. I didn't have the money, so I sold my car, paid for the program, and then I think within 4 or 5 months, I was making $10,000 a month, and the rest is history from there. That was back in 2016,
Can you say
2017.
that last part again? Can you say that, Mr. Jeraud? Can you say that last part again? I just want to make sure that everybody who's listening on YouTube and everybody who listens to this in the future that they heard that part about I sold my car and then could you pick up there again, please? Thank you, Mariama.
Sold my car to pay for this marketing program, and the rest is history. And the last thing I'll say about that is I had reached out to them before because I didn't know the price, and then they called me back trying to sell me, and I was like, they had two programs, and I was like, hey, I actually stole one of their programs off the internet because you can find people's programs. I didn't feel good about it, but when he called me, I was like, hey, the reason why I'm still taking this call is because there's a difference between being coached and trained. So just the fact that you guys are in this group is different. Because if I give you a bunch of videos to teach you my marketing, you can do it. But if you're not like going to be super religious and militant about it, it's going to be hard to learn. And even then, you're going to have like when I have if one of you were my client, you got different businesses. Even though the process is the same, a question might come up that I need an answer to. Now, if I don't have an answer, I'm kind of like guessing, or I'm stuck. I might not take action. I might overthink it. Versus, I can just ask the person that I'm paying money to coach me and help me walk me through that step. And now I have the confidence to know that I'm doing it right. And just go. So I told him I stole the course, and he's like, well, "Why are you still here?" I was like, "Because I want to get trained, and I'll pay you for the course. I also want to join the other course." And that's what happened. And yeah, became good friends with all of those guys out in San Diego. They're like family to me, and they taught me a skill set that is not just only helping my family. I've helped, and this is the part that you got to remind yourself when you're doing business like this, like you're changing other people's lives too. And I think that's the cool part. It's not just about us; the people that you can impact along the way. And that's been pretty awesome when someone says, "Hey, I'm putting my kid through school, man. That extra money you gave me." Or a friend of mine, he said he was investing in crypto, and we helped him make a few hundred grand on or we helped him make millions, but I make on the Black Friday in particular, we helped him make over 100 grand. He said a lot of that money went to invest in crypto, and now he's doing very well in crypto because we gave him seed money. And he could have done that without us, but the fact that I'm a part of that story just means so much. So you got to be willing to sacrifice. And aside from sacrificing time with my family, I'll sacrifice anything.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for that response. And Mariama, thank you so very much for the question. That was excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, we're gonna just check in and see if anybody else has a question. And also, John, how can people connect with you that may be interested in your service, or if you have any kind of programs that you offer, because we really, really, really want to support whatever it is that you're doing. Because when you can take what you've done, and going back to both questions, when you can take what you've done after an accident and be driven by the commitment and love for your family, and like you said, for others, and create what you've created, you're basically saying that if you can think it, you can do it. All of the motivational tapes and seminars and sessions that you've done proves that you don't have to have anything more than a desire and a commitment. Because one of the other things that you talked about, and I like the word you said, militant. You have to have a
Oh
militant
yeah,
attitude about doing the work. And I don't think the military plays, if they do, most of those people don't last long in the military, right?
no,
And it's just
they
like
really
this
don't.
business. You're not going to last long and be successful if you don't have a militant attitude about doing the inner work and actually hitting those goals that you set for yourself, especially when it depends upon the success or failure of your family. So is there any programs that you have, or a way that people can connect with you that will be watching this on our podcast?
Yeah, 100%. I would say the one thing I like to lead people into when I get on a call like this is the marketing course. We have basically a strategy that we've used that I learned from one of my mentors. Shout out to Billy Jean from Billy Jean Marketing, my guy. He's changed my life, and if he wasn't willing to put himself out there, then I may not be in the position I'm in, or I would have found a way, just maybe not as fast. But I basically boiled a lot of the lessons that he's given me into short, digestible steps where anybody can learn how to market their business. So that's a course we usually sell for $397. Anybody who wants it, I'll give it away. All you have to do is you can email my support team. It's support at GeraudMarketing.com. And if you just email them and say, hey, I want the free course, we'll make sure you get added to the course. So I like to lead with value and give stuff away. And if you're successful with it, which if you follow the steps, you'll be successful with it, then you'll come back and maybe you want to do some more things, or you'll just be able to help somebody else. So I just like to put that kind of energy out. Um, One other thing that we're doing is, and I have to get with you on the back end because this is the Clarity Mastermind, and I
Could you
actually been
say the
doing a lot
website
with AI.
again? Could you say the website
Oh,
again?
it's I
Or
can
could
put it
you
in the
put it in
chat,
the
Michelle.
chat? Please put in the chat.
Yes, no problem. But
Thank you
it's
so
my
much.
Michelle got me. Yep, support at GeraudMarketing.com. That'll go to my team, and we'll get you added. Another thing we've been working on pretty heavily is um, a lot of times, like in business, like I ran into parts where we were doing, like I remember closing my biggest deal, and I think I put a video up on my Facebook a while back. It was June of 2020, because I think we had just bought our house. So that foreclosure, that bankruptcy, I finally got past all of that, and I was able to buy a house with my wife during COVID. And I remember being in my office, which is now my daughter's room, and we didn't have any furniture in the house, and I closed a $20,000 a month deal. And at that time, we were doing more than that anyway. But once that all that money started coming in at once, I realized that I some of the stuff I was doing, I was helping people, but I didn't really want to continue doing things the way I wanted to do it. I had a goal to get to $50,000 a month and then figure out what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the clarity. So what happened was I kept doing things that I didn't want to do, even though I was good at them, and I just wasn't able to reach my full potential. So what I've been showing people lately is how to take AI and how to create that clarity. And funny enough, you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I call it the AI Mastermind, where you can basically pull in people from the past or present into your chat GPT and get feedback from them in order to grow and get clarity on demand. Because even when you do have a coach, sometimes you don't ask them everything or you don't tell them everything, whether it's because you don't even think about it or you might fear being judged. So I use that, so it almost becomes like a diary. You can literally talk to ChatGPT and it gives you feedback, and it's helped me grow so much in a short amount of time. And when I've been sharing that with people, once you learn that, you can't go back. So I think if you're
Amen.
interested in that too, you can definitely reach out to me at the support at GeraudMarketing.com. I think we have a class coming up on next Thursday on the 13th. That is a paid class, but if you just want something for free right now, just hit us up on support, and I'll put my Instagram in here. I'm really bad at social media, which my team is working on me to be better at social media, but I promise to post more. My Instagram is instagram.com/Gerard_Gig. So the gig thing is still present every day.
All right. I want
Okay.
to just
So
make sure that I mention, Gerard, for those individuals that's listening online and they may be trying to figure out what did you just say? So his Instagram is www.instagram.com/Jeraud, and that is Jeraud. And there's that underscore gave, Gave
yes,
underscore
ma'am.
Gave. You can find him there on Instagram. And for his course, also, you can go to his contact his support team at support@JeraudMarketing.com. And Jeraud again is spelled Jeraud, and that's marketing, Juraud marketing.com. And reach out to him for the marketing course because I really want to make absolutely sure that everybody that's listening to us, Gerard, can find you. You have truly been a
Thank
blessing,
you.
and I will definitely, Michelle and I we will definitely connect with you offline because I have 5 businesses, and right now I am on a cruise around the world for the next 5 to 6 months, and I
Mhm.
have a lot of time. Okay, I have lots of time, so I will have I'll make an appointment and see how we can create some strategic relationships. Because again, what I loved about what you said is not only are you helping your family, and when I prayed to open this up, I talked about the fact that oftentimes, for many of us, our family is an extended family, if you will. My family, even though I have birth individuals in my family, but I look at many of the individuals in this mastermind with me also as a family member, if you will. And we talk every day. Many of us work together, but we also support each other over and above the financial returns that we get from the money. Because again, family uh, sometimes birth in that organization, if you will. I'm thinking about, in particular, you, Mariama. We meet every single week as a part of our mastermind, and we've been together now, I think somewhere we counted 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. I've kind of lost count. And Gerard, I would also like to extend an invitation to you to join us on our Think and Grow Rich Mastermind, where we talk about the principles. Because as I'm listening to your story and you're talking about your personal development and that development journey, which is what led you to what you're doing now, that has really began to be a setup for many of us that have had a struggle. The big
Mm-mm.
showed up in our lives. The book showed up in our lives, and that led us, if you will, to the business of whatever it is we're doing now. So we will connect with you offline and see how we can have you as a part of our podcast. And Victoria, if you would share that again, that JPEG about the Think and Grow Rich. So it is Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live, and we stream live every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can go to Ann McNeil YouTube and just subscribe there, and that will allow you to get that notification. I'll click that bell, of course. And Michelle and Victoria, if we can have that in the chat, so those who are listening can also have the benefit of subscribing to the YouTube to get this. But we'll reach back out to you, Gerard, and definitely see how we can check your schedule and availability to see how we can have you be a part of that mastermind. But any other questions before we bless Mr. Gerard and wrap up this
Okay.
portion of our program?